Hello everyone, I'm Jeb Smith. I'm a real estate broker here in Southern California. And in today's video, we're going to discuss FHA loans in more detail. We're going to talk about the FHA loan requirements as we move into 2021. We're going to talk about some of the recent changes with regards to loan amounts. We're going to talk about what you need as far as employment, assets, how much you need for down payment, your credit scores, what types of properties are generally approved when using FHA loan. We're going to cover all of that. We're going to talk about MI in a little bit more detail. What is PMI? How do you calculate it? And we're going to give you some real guidance if you're planning on using an FHA loan in 2021. But I want to start today by asking a favor. If you're new to me, new to my channel, and you like videos like this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Now, if you have questions as we're going through this information, do me a favor, comment below. I'll definitely go back and address that for you. But I want to start today's video by talking about the most recent change that's happened with regards to FHA as we move into the new housing market in 2021. That change is loan amount. So every year, FHA adjusts the loan amounts that they're willing to lend up to towards the end of the year. And we recently got that adjustment. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if you are buying a home and you're using an FHA loan, FHA will only go to a certain loan amount. If the home you're looking to purchase is above that loan amount, unfortunately, FHA won't do the loan for you because there's certain requirements that they have. So in the low cost areas, their new loan amount is $356. What is a low cost area? Well, it's based on certain factors, and what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below where you can find out if your area is a low cost area or a high cost area. But essentially in a low cost area, they'll allow you to go up to $356 on one unit. If you're buying 2 units or 3 units or 4 units, that loan amount goes up. And what I'll do is I'll put those numbers here so that you can take a look at them to see how much FHA will allow you to finance when doing multiple units. In high cost areas, they'll allow you to go to $822, $375. So I'm in Southern California in Huntington Beach, and you know, property is a lot more expensive in our area, and FHA will now allow you to finance up to $822,375 on one unit. If you're buying 2 units, 3 units, or 4 units, I will put the max loan amounts here so that you can take a look at those as well. So as you can see, FHA financing will allow you to go, up quite a bit as far as the loan amount goes, but there are additional requirements that are going to be required. The first we're going to start with, and probably the most common question that I get when talking about FHA loans are, how much down payment do I need? What kind of credit scores do I need? So that's where we're going to start today's discussion. FHA will allow you to purchase with only 3.5% down if you have a credit score greater than 580. So if your credit score is 580 or above, you can put just 3.5% down when using an FHA loan, regardless of whether it's 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, just 3.5% down. And if your credit score is below 500, so 500 to 579, because FHA will go as low as a 500 credit score, then you need a 10% down payment. So 10% down if your credit score is under 580. Now, one of the common questions that continues to come across my desk and in these comments is, I have a 580 credit score, a 600 credit score, and I still can't find a lender that will do a loan for me. I have, my credit score is above what FHA requires. Why can't I find a lender that will do a loan? Well, what we've seen recently is, if you get under, say, a 620 credit score, it's really hard to find financing for FHA out there. Lenders have overlays on their programs that don't allow them to go down that low. Even though FHA allows it, the lender themselves won't do certain credit scores. That, and as you get in lower credit scores, the cost, the fees start to go up so much that it no longer makes sense. You can't actually get it to compute to allow you to even go to those lower credit scores just because the cost is so high. So while you might have a credit score that meets FHA guidelines, in some cases you might still have trouble finding a lender that will do the financing for you, even if you have the down payment, employment, and all the good stuff. So keep that in mind, and that's why it's always good to check with multiple sources. If you don't have a lender, do me a favor, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to put you in touch with somebody that I know and trust. I network with a lot of, real estate agents as well as mortgage brokers that do business the same way I do, and I can put you in touch with somebody that can answer that question for you. Now, I don't get anything from it other than knowing that you're in good hands. So, if you need that, do me a favor, reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to put you in touch with someone that can help. So we've discussed loan limits, we've discussed credit scores, we've discussed down payment. The next thing is FHA requires you to purchase your property as a primary residence. What does that mean? Well, that means that you're buying the property to live in. It has to be the property that you're going to live in. It can't be an investment property. Well, the question comes up again. Well, can I turn it into an investment property at some point in the future? The answer is yes. There's not an exact timeline on which that has to happen, but when you're buying the property with the lender, it has to be your primary residence. So it can't be an investment property, can't be a second home. It has to be the property that you're going to live in. With that in mind, there are certain requirements with regards to FHA. FHA doesn't finance any property per se. So, with a single family residence, most of the time, if the property's in good livable condition, FHA will allow you to do financing on it. Condos are a little different story because condos have to be FHA approved. They have to go through a process of being approved in order to qualify for FHA loans. Well, how do you know if something's FHA approved? If you're working with a professional real estate agent, they should be able to tell you whether something is FHA approved or not. But also there's a website that you can go to check a list of approved condos, which I'll link to below as well. And, that's one of the drawbacks to using FHA is because a lot of properties out there that you may be interested in may not be FHA approved. So in order to do an FHA loan on them, that condo complex would have to go through the approval process in order for you to do an FHA loan. Another thing that FHA requires is mortgage insurance. You've probably heard of this, PMI, and it's often, when it's spoken as a negative when doing FHA loans because, when you put less than 10% down when buying FHA, you have the MI, the mortgage insurance on the loan for the life of the loan. So as long as you have that loan, regardless of whether you get 20% equity in the property or not, you're going to have that mortgage insurance. So that's one of the drawbacks to FHA is the mortgage insurance. But what I would tell you is if you're in a position where you're using FHA because you have a minimal down payment, don't worry so much about the mortgage insurance because at some point in the future, chances are you're either going to sell that property, you're going to refinance it, you're going to do something where it gets rid of that loan. And so, FHA or mortgage insurance is only a problem if you keep the loan forever. And most people don't keep the same loan that they purchased the home with forever. So at any point when you get enough money to get 20% equity in the property or the property gains appreciation over time and you have 20% equity in the property, you can refinance at that point into a conventional loan. Therefore, PMI isn't really an issue. Now, there is a requirement of PMI when purchasing using an FHA loan, and there's a way to compute it. And what I'll do instead of doing it in this video to give you an idea of how much it's going to cost in mortgage insurance, because that's one of the things that buyers don't factor in when trying to compute how much their monthly payment is going to be when using FHA, is the mortgage insurance. So in lieu of keeping this video short, what I'll do is I'll link to a video here where I actually calculate mortgage insurance for you on the screen to show you how to go through it. But what I'll also do is I'll put the same description below where I calculate it in the description below so that, if you don't want to watch that video, you can go through that and calculate it. Otherwise, you can check out that video on how to calculate the mortgage insurance. Another thing about FHA that is required is a debt to income ratio. Now, FHA says that they'd like a 43% or less debt to income ratio. What is a debt to income ratio? That is your debt versus your income. So how much monthly debt do you have versus the income that you're bringing in? They don't want you to have over 43%. But if you know FHA loans at all, the one thing that FHA does allow is they do allow most buyers to go well above that 43%. I've seen loans improved with debt to income ratios as high as 56, 57% in some cases. So, FHA over conventional, they definitely allow you to qualify for more when using FHA loans, but there are certain requirements that you have to stick to when doing an FHA loan. And for computation purposes, when you're trying to compute your income versus your debt, you probably want to keep it somewhere around that 45 to 50% ratio. While they do require less, but just keep in mind that they will likely go above that. So that's why it's often in your best interest to talk to a mortgage professional when trying to calculate your debt to income ratio versus just trying to compute it on your. The last thing that FHA requires is steady income and employment. So typically they like to see someone in the same line of work for at least 2 years. What is the same line of work? Well, that means that, if you say you worked at a restaurant, initially you were a cashier, then you moved up to manager, and then you moved up to whatever, right? So you were in the same line of work. The opposite would be that if you were a real estate agent and then you decided to become a waiter, and then you became a contractor, and then you became an office manager, you're jumping around to different types of employment. So what they like to see is you in the same line of work for at least 2 years. Now, you can have gaps of employment, if you were laid off and you got a new job and what have you, but you just don't want to have large gaps of employment. But if you've had large gaps of employment where you've lost your job, you've been furloughed or what have you, unfortunately you can't use unemployment to qualify. So you need 2 years of steady income, steady employment. Typically you want your income to be pretty close to what it's been. If it's gradually going up over time, that's great. If it continues to go down over time, that's a tougher thing to qualify. So you kind of want to have some consistency in that employment as well as your income. So I hope that was helpful in explaining what you need in order to purchase using FHA loans. We're going into a market that is very, very competitive in 2021, low supply, high buyer demand. It's going to be a tough market to use FHA if we're being completely transparent, just because they're lower down payment loans. And if you're competing with buyers putting, a substantial amount down, it's going to be tougher. And that's why it's in your best interest to go through the approval process as quick as you can. If you're thinking about purchasing, in 3 to 4 months from now, now's a good time to start that process. Get approved, find out, where you qualify, where you sit, how much you can afford, and then you'll also know if there's anything you need to work on. Some people don't necessarily qualify the first time they reach out to a mortgage professional, and that mortgage professional can help tell them what they need to do in order to get in that position. So I'm here if you do have questions about the process. If you need somebody to get you qualified, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to put you in touch with someone. But I appreciate your support. I appreciate your time, and I hope to see you again soon. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.